to another episode of the EmpowerYou Financial Podcast. I am your host, Eva Palacios.
And I'm your co-host, Damian McGee. How are you?
Good.
Oh, see, I remember the check-in thing. Remember I got in trouble before? I didn't check in? So now, everybody, I'm checking in.
Yes, can we check in, please?
How are you doing?
I'm good.
You know what we should check in about?
What?
The fact that, now, people, if you only listen to this through traditional podcast methods, none of what I'm about to say is going to matter to you. But for those people who watch this, I feel like we should address the elephant in the room.
Oh, man. I don't even know where this is going.
What do you mean?
What elephant?
So for those of you watching, this has been assigned as my official attire for every episode.
No.
She gets to change and show up every week with something different. She's like, you got your gray pants and your black t-shirt? And I'm like, yep, brought them again. So I'm just saying, it feels unfair. I know you're the star.
The EmpowerYou
I know.
outfit?
I get it. I'm in uniform.
Uniform.
Literally. I know you're the star. I know you got to look better on camera. But like, can I wear like a blue one or something one day?
Blue is not an EmpowerYou color.
What other colors do we have? It's only like gold.
Yes.
I'm not wearing a gold shirt. That's out. So we have to figure something out.
So you're saying we need some new gear. All right, I got it. Okay, that's subliminal.
Can I at least can I alternate back to the lion one at some point?
Yes. Yes.
Maybe in May.
Okay. I don't know.
I just want y'all to know, like, I actually have clothes and like I do laundry, but
is that your
my boss
way of
has forced me to wear the same thing every week. Is that
your way of saying you want some different type of EmpowerYou gear?
No, I
got it. Ladies, pay attention. That's right.
Wait, ladies, wait a minute. What are we getting at here? You trying to tell ladies I don't know how to dress myself? What are we talking about?
Or those who need that level of communication.
Oh, we're teaching people communication skills. I was like, where are we going with this? All I want the YouTube viewers to know is I do laundry and I have other clothes. That's all I wanted to get out there. Okay.
And I took it as we need more gear to hook him up.
Welcome to Communication 101. EmpowerYou will be back next week once we work through this situation. Okay, so check in. How are you? Wait, you what? What were you about to say?
Nothing.
No,
I'm
come
good.
on. At least one person in this world has commented that they enjoy when we just have banter. So
yeah,
the other 99,000 people listening are upset right now. But for that one, we can just talk. So what were you going to say? You're good.
I think so.
You're great. Good, great. Wait, what do you think? How do you... you either like you're good or you're not. You don't know?
My brain is stuck on EmpowerYou gear now.
I didn't
now
see,
we just
and I never said
my brain.
For the record, I never said that. So when you people, well, you know what? This is good.
This is actually really good. Is this our topic today?
It's about to be.
I was about to say, what? We had an idea.
Nope.
And now it shifted.
Yep, we're changing the whole topic because
okay.
I'm going to explain to the audience why.
Let's go.
What I said was I have other clothes. Mm-hmm. I don't want people to believe this is the only thing I own.
Okay.
What you said was, that feels like what you're saying is, which I was not. But that's okay, because what that's going to do is segment or segue us into our topic for this week, which will be facts versus feelings.
Ooh, this is bad. Okay.
And the good thing is we're gonna
get ready.
We're gonna figure out how to relate it to money, but we're gonna talk about facts over feelings.
Go.
You ready for this?
I got comfy. We ready.
All right.
I think so. Let's make sure.
So when I was in second grade, I told that girl I liked her. No, I'm just playing. No, so seriously.
Wait a minute.
Right. Speaking of facts, no. So no, okay. For real, like facts over feelings. For you, for those of you listening, really was not what we were going to talk about.
Definitely not.
So I'm just going to run with it. If it goes a little crazy, just bear with us.
That's how we roll. No do-overs.
Yeah, no, we got this.
We go.
If they heard all the stuff on the cutting room floor prior to the show, we'll let y'all hear that one day. But yeah, no, facts over feelings. So in all seriousness.
Wait a minute. Is it facts over
I'm sorry,
feelings?
it is not facts.
That's right.
That's how other people say it. It's facts versus feelings.
Yes, thank you.
In the sense that I believe, in a non-money way, and then we can shift it over to the money and the credit and all that. But
Yep.
I believe people need to be very careful about digesting things from the opposite of what it was intended to be.
Yeah.
So if someone tells you this is the thing, this is a fact, right? So, for example, it is a fact there is no food in our refrigerator, right? And someone says, I feel like you're saying, I never feed you. No, see, that's one is a fact, the other is a feeling, right? It is a fact that you are here an hour later than you said you would be. That's a fact. I feel like that means you don't care about us. You didn't care what would happen. You don't care about my feelings. Nope, stop. Those are feelings. Those are not facts, right?
Okay.
On the other side, I'm sure there are a lot of ladies out there like, that ain't right. Yeah, no, I got it.
Hence why I'm laughing.
Yes.
Why I'm laughing.
I know, I can see it on your face.
Y'all take it to the YouTube, you'll see my face.
But on the other side of that,
yeah.
I think the opposite is true for people as well, right?
Absolutely.
So if someone is presenting something to you and saying, I feel like this, or I feel like this is what is being said, or I feel like this is what you're doing,
yeah,
there should be enough space for someone to stop and say, okay, these are two separate conversations, but that conversation is equally as important, right? So, what I'm talking about are facts, and they actually don't play into what you're saying. However, the fact that you feel this way is its own conversation that we need to address.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't, even though I'm a guy and I want to deal in facts, that doesn't dismiss the feelings conversations. For me, I think you only get in trouble when you start to confuse the two.
Absolutely.
And when two people are having different conversations, right?
Yes.
One person's having a factual conversation. The other one is having an emotional conversation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, for those of you who are like, what in the world does this have to do with money? It has everything to do with money.
Tell me about it.
Everything to do with money, right? Because
yes,
you can feel however you want to feel about how much money you make, how much stuff costs, what you think your credit score should be, whose fault it is that you're in this situation. You can feel whatever you want to.
Yeah.
The fact is your score is this number.
Yeah.
Your bank balance is this number.
Yeah.
Your budget either exists or it does not. It either works or it does not. You either have spoken to your spouse about it or you have not. Like some things are facts.
Yes.
And if we don't separate those two things and start having those conversations, you're always going to have I feel like you don't want us to get a house. No. So that's the fact is I do. We just haven't set a budget.
Yep.
But you feel like because we haven't done that, I don't care.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about, especially couples. Like we didn't even really say we were going to focus on couples, right?
I love where this is going. Right, I love it.
But let's talk about how conversations around money and credit and budgeting and investing and planning, if we're not careful, can very quickly become a fact versus feelings conversation. Absolutely. And that's where the frustration comes in.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what have you seen as it pertains to that and what you've done?
So even before we get there, don't let me forget where we're about to go. But before we get there, how does this even happen? And so talking about last week, we were talking about coaching, how we hire the right coaches, and there's coaches for everything. So, I have a coach that pours into me an assessment, a personality assessment. Mm-hmm. You answer these questions. I'm like, I don't even know what these words mean. Let me Google it. Okay, let me answer it. And then it tells me how I operate. Facts, feelings, they're all of that.
Absolutely.
And only because I went through that training to understand, one, how do I function? Mm-hmm. But most importantly, sometimes people question themselves, why do I have to be this? Why do I have to be a certain way? or I don't like how I am. Like, why, No, in that coaching, in that weekend mastermind that I attended, we shouldn't not like why we operate the way that we operate. We need to embrace our superpowers and understand, number one, God gave us this. God gave us who we are for a reason, and no one is alike at all. But also, most importantly, understanding how we work, because once we understand how we function and then we understand how other people function, the communication becomes stronger. Yes. And this is where this comes from. This is another reason why I'm different compared to other credit repair services that are out there, because again, it's the psyche, it's the coaching, it's the I'm hiring the best of the best to make me better so I can understand people.
Absolutely.
So, yes, being able to see my clients, well, first off, when they sign up, I'm like, take this assessment.
Right.
Like, y'all think are just like, oh, this is cute. Eva's like, no, I need to know how you operate.
How to deal with you, right?
I need to know how you operate, because me understanding how you operate mentally, again, the feelings versus the facts, how we're going to move, all of that helps me understand how you treat money. And when life hits, what you're going to do with money. Yep. And that's like, I don't even know if anybody else does that. I do it because I care that much about people. Right. Because even though I may be working with the wife or the husband, in a perfect world, both of them. Right. Because just because you teach one don't mean they talking to the other. Yep. On purpose, I'm like, oh, you married in the household? Both of you on Zoom. Like, we're not just improving one person, we're improving the couple.
Absolutely.
To build these kingdoms, because at the end of the day, like, that's what it's about. But if I didn't know what I knew, if I didn't know what I learned to implement, I wouldn't be as effective with my couples. Mm-hmm. Because there's been times, and I'm sure, she listening, where I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. So wait a minute, you're upset because he didn't do this. And you really want this goal for both of you, but have you talked about it?
Yeah. And have you asked? Is that his
Have
goal?
You asked?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, but that's what we're supposed to do. And, okay, I understand. That's what you think. That's what you're supposed to do. But if there's no communication, he's probably in la la land just thinking everything is perfectly fine and I can do nothing wrong.
And here's why. So, and we're going to try not to turn this. Well, that's a lie. I was about to say, we're not going to make this a personal development pocket, but it probably is going to be a little bit of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I think is important for people to understand is that your perspective of what we should be doing is based off of your knowledge.
Yes.
Your history,
mm-hmm.
and your experiences.
Absolutely.
They're not necessarily the same as your partners.
Absolutely.
I don't care how long you've been together. There is still a portion of your life that influenced who they are that you were not there for.
Yeah.
And so, for example, you could have one person who's like, my parents always had money in the bank. My parents, we've never had a balance below X number of dollars. And there was ever a year where we didn't take a family vacation and whatever, right? Yeah. They could have a partner or their spouse who could be like, I don't even know if we had a balance. Mm-hmm. The bills got paid.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could try and go on a family vacation, but we right here and we go to the park. What's the problem, right? Yeah. That doesn't mean either person's wrong. Right. I mean, one might be a little more responsible than the other, but neither of them is wrong. It's based off of their perspective, their experiences.
Yeah.
So when people say things like, well, this is what we're supposed to be doing, I think it's very important for them to understand supposed to is only based in what you believe.
Yep.
In any aspect of life, go into a company, go into your favorite fast food place, McDonald's. Not my favorite, but I'm just going to use it as an example. Walk into one, ask the guy at the counter or girl at the counter, what are you supposed to do while you're here? Mm-hmm. And they're going to tell you something. And I want you to leave that one and go to the McDonald's down the street and ask the same person, not the same person, but the person in the same position and go, what are you supposed to do while you're here?
Yeah.
Those answers will not be 100% the same. They may overlap, but each person has a different experience.
Absolutely.
Exact same place, exact same job, exact same responsibility.
And probably trained the exact same training
book.
model.
Exactly, right?
But different answers.
Yeah. And so when you talk about things like that, and to any couples who are listening, if you say, this is what we're supposed to do, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're probably setting the conversation up for failure.
Absolutely.
What I would rather you do, me personally, and this isn't from a credit coach perspective, this is just from a human life perspective, I would rather you have those conversations and then be able to go back to your partner and say, this is what we agreed to do.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a strong word.
Because that's a whole different ballgame.
Definitely.
Because now we both sat in a space.
Yep.
And we both had an opportunity to express ourselves. And if you chose not to, that's on you.
Yeah.
But we both had an opportunity to say what was important to us, to say what we wanted, to hear the other person out. And hopefully we reached a point where we said, okay, I understand, if we use our early analogy, I understand you grew up in a world where there was money in the bank. Yeah. I didn't. But I understand how uncomfortable that makes you feel when it's not. Yeah. And you understand how I'm like, money is money, we'll make some more. So let's agree that we'll have $5,000 in the bank at all times.
Yeah.
Right? We won't do anything else till we hit 5,000. We'll never go below 5,000. Do we agree? Yes. Do we agree? Yes. Now, in 3 months, instead of sitting at a table and going, I'm so pissed off at so-and-so, we're supposed to have a savings. Yeah. That doesn't even mean anything.
Yeah.
What you can say is, hey, sweetheart, I love you. Mm-hmm. I'm really upset right now.
Yes.
Because we agreed that we would never go below X number.
That's good.
And so there's no, we don't even have to fight our perceptions anymore.
Well, and then from the other side, like, how can you even fight that?
You
like,
can't. That's what I'm saying, right?
Like, there's no fighting. Like, this is a fact. We agreed that this is what this would look like.
Right.
So if any, like, there's
we need to talk about where did we missing? Yeah, what's going on?
What did we miss? What happened? What?
But you see what I'm saying? How you've changed we're supposed to. I always thought we would. Yes. If they knew me, they would. No, that's not how this works.
Right.
People know what they know, and it doesn't make them bad people. No. It doesn't even mean they don't care about you, even though that's how we try to interpret things. Mm-hmm. The reality is, I know what I know. Yep. And I can be the most loving person in the world. I can be the nicest person in the world. Yep. But it's still my version of it.
Yeah.
To your comment about the assessment, and my version may not be your version.
That's right.
And if we don't have that conversation, how could we ever? And so people, I'm sure people are like, wait, what the hell are they talking? Like, why are we talking about relationships? If you cannot do this with parenting, if you cannot do this with religion, if you cannot do this with whether or not you're going to buy a house, what city you're going to live in, what sports the kids were going to play, what the freaking agreed upon bedtime was. Like, if you can't do it with that, you really think you're going to take two grown people's incomes, put them in the same account, and come to a consensus?
Yeah.
With everybody trying to decide what you're supposed to be doing with that money?
Mm-hmm.
No. It's not going to happen.
And this is why, like, communication is key.
100%.
And yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that thing, but it's like.
No, but it's so true, though, because we got to get good at not just communicating, but communicating effectively.
100%.
Because you can talk and I can talk and we communicating, but ain't nobody listening.
Well, and that's just it. So let me be clear to people listening. Talking and communicating are not the same thing.
That is true.
Like, you can talk all day. Yeah. And if the person across from you is like, I've heard 0 words.
Snoopy. Wah, wah,
Yeah,
wah, wah.
Then you're not communicating.
It's true.
And I'm not even saying it's necessarily your fault, but I'm just
No.
telling you that's not communication. That is talking.
Absolutely.
Communication requires a certain level of understanding on the recipient's side.
Yeah.
So, and here's another thing that people won't like to hear. That responsibility is on the communicator, not the recipient. Right?
That
so
might
a lot
be
of
a dagger to some hearts.
I know it is.
Kind of sting
Because a
my-
lot of people are like, I said what I said. I don't understand why you don't. That's not how this works. If you now live your life however you want to.
Yeah.
But if you truly care about someone and you care about the outcome of that interaction, you need to understand that the responsibility of comprehension and understanding is on the communicator, not the recipient. Because otherwise, you're assuming they have a certain level of understanding that you don't know that they have. You're assuming they have a certain level of education that you don't know that you're assuming they have a certain knowledge of the words you're using that you can't confirm they have. Right. So it is on you to make sure that you are clear, concise, check for approval and agreement and understanding. And if you don't have it, guess what? Figure out a different way to say it. Until you get it. Otherwise, don't be like, I told him 17 times. Yeah, no, you said it 17 times.
Don't mean he listened.
Don't mean it was.
Maybe it wasn't clear.
It was bad timing.
To understand.
It wasn't clear.
Yeah.
You did it super emotionally, and they had turned off. Like, there's all kinds of reasons, right?
Absolutely.
But and I'm not. And this is, to be clear, we're not saying this. Only women do this.
Oh,
guys do the same thing. I said we're doing this, and you're like, I told her. No, she didn't hear you. Because she didn't feel like you cared at all what she thought, right? Like, so it goes both ways.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so when it comes to money, talk about and even use, if you have examples that you're willing to share, like times where effective communication has damaged people's goals, but times where you've seen it do the opposite. Times where when people have gotten on the same page, they can set the world on fire.
I'm like, where my couples at? Like building. Well, and last week we talked about that. So let's dig a little bit deeper into that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So that couple, we share some circles and we're in, different like familiar groups and stuff. And to be honest, and they know this, the husband signed up the wife. So the husband came to me and was like, yo,
she needs this.
No, not even. Oh, okay. While it's easy for the guy to be like, she needs help.
She needs to get her stuff together.
No, it was like, oh my God. And shout out to the guys that operate like this. Right. He was like, he pulled me to the side and he's like, Eva, my wife, love her. She has so much drive, so much ambition, so much just vision to fulfill her dreams. But there's something that's stopping her. And me as a husband, I can provide, but like she needs somebody like you to push her.
I can't impart. I can't put that in there.
Right. Yeah. Like, let's be real. Like, even you could be, and they're married for years. You can be married for years. It could be a new couple. It doesn't matter. But again, going back to the coaching, going back to having the right people to talk to certain people in a certain way that is just different. Yeah. So he came to me and he was like, I want to invest in you. I want to invest in us. But I really need you to like work with her in a certain way. And because we're in the same community, like I know the assessment and I'm like, done. Done. Now, in the beginning, I don't know if she knew that's what this was about. She was the only one on the coaching calls.
Does she know?
Oh, now, yeah.
I was like, does she know now?
No, she know now.
No, okay.
Because, she did the coaching calls. The first 2 calls was by herself. And then I'm like, we're going through numbers and we're going through goals and all of this stuff. And I'm like, hey, where hubby at? Because they both work, like they both got careers, they got family, like they busy. Yeah. I'm like, oh, where's hubby at? Oh, he finally got the day off. He's over there. And I'm like, bring him on camera. Like, I need to see both of you. And it's crazy because in that session, that was the session that was like, we want to do this mastermind elite level coaching. Like, can you help us get to where?
Oh, this is that couple. Okay.
Yeah. Same couple from the last conversation.
Got you.
But again, he came in with, I want to invest in us, but really so she can have that female, like-minded, similar circle assessment, like person really pour into her, because he knew once she was like set on finances and all of the stuff, together they could build the kingdom.
Absolutely.
So when that conversation happened to where she did her homework, things got better. And now it was, well, now we want to do this. I'm like, okay, I need both of you on the camera. Like, we're going to talk this out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, to be real, it wasn't like, oh, you need $35,000. Sure, we're going to go do it like this. You done, we good. I made you happy. Like me, I dig so deep and I'm like, why do you want to do this? Mm-hmm. Why do you want to be a part of this mastermind? Mm-hmm. And together, they both said, we want to strengthen our marriage because we believe, the house is taken care of, mm-hmm. the finances are taken care of, like everything is going to, in essence, fall into place. Mm-hmm. And because they were both in agreement, I'm like, let's make it happen. Let's do it. Yeah. And that's the difference. Yes. Because, and I'm never going to say like out loud, like, I'm not going to help you get to where you need to be. Mm-hmm. But when couples are in agreement and in alignment to like really like put in work to get to where they need to be, that's extra special. Yeah. But it's because they've been working on it. Now they were like, it hasn't always been like this.
Of course, right.
But this is where we want to go. And I'm like, yo. So then that session kind of turned into, hey, okay, you're going to spend this money. Then that means the communication needs to be even more clear.
Absolutely.
Because now we got a monthly payment that's tied to making y'all great, but let's make sure we stay on task.
Let's not have resentment. Let's not have all of that kind of stuff. Blame and all that.
All of that. And it matters. Yeah. It matters. But imagine if I had the conversation with just her.
And that's what I was going to say is I think people, there's kind of two ways to look at it, right? I would say one way that I still agree with is you don't need to wait for your partner to get on the same page to start making positive choices and decisions and movements. Mm-hmm. However, in order for those to stick and truly be magnified, it has to happen at some point. Right?
I completely agree.
Somebody has to lead at some point, right? Like absolutely. Somebody has to wake up and be like, okay, I don't know why we're both not sick and tired of this, but I know I am. Yeah. So I'm going to do something different. Yeah. And I'm going to take the fights and the disagreements just to kind of get us there. Yeah. But at some point,
there has to be a breaking point.
There has to be. Yeah. There has to be some, like you said, some version of alignment that says, okay, either I get it now, so let's do this, or, and I'm going to say this one for the guys because it's harder for us to say it, but it's probably the best statement I could ever teach you. I don't get it, but I love and I trust you enough that I'm going to ride with it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Everybody doesn't have the capacity to get everything.
And that's so powerful.
Do you know what I mean?
And like how you said from a man's perspective, why? Because society says, masculinity and the man has to lead.
We got to figure it out.
And to do it.
No, if you don't know, say you don't know.
And so this, I love this. Okay, so this is what's extra special about this couple. And I truly believe the majority of the world, the couples, one's a spender and one's a saver.
1,000%.
Like that's, and I'm
never
like,
not seen it that way. Yeah, no.
I'm like, man, like when can I have both savers?
Yeah. Even when I try and be like, no,
one's a spender and one's a saver. Yeah. But when you get to a certain point in your relationship to where somebody is like, I don't understand all that, but I know you do, and I'm confident, and I trust you so much that you can lead, then let's go.
And you've never led us in the wrong direction. and it doesn't matter which person it is.
Doesn't matter.
Right?
Doesn't matter.
Because there are guys who are like, which it's always like when I was growing up, I remember seeing shows and movies where there'd be a joke, the guy'd be on there and he's just like, yeah, guys, I would go out, but I'm on an allowance and I can't spend whatever, right? Now, as a kid who only knows, my dad wasn't there, so I only knew manhood through observation, if you will. Then it was like, who's that guy? Like, how weak must he be to have his wife tell him how much money he can spend, right? As a grown-up who went through many years of spending way too much money, I would have loved for a woman to be like, give me your check because you make decent money.
Yeah.
I'm going to prevent you from screwing it up.
Yeah.
Here's what you get. You go do as much stupid stuff if you want to with this much money. Like,
make it work. Make it work. You got this.
Right.
You do whatever
Your
you want.
Friends can buy you drinks. I don't care, but this is all you get,
yes.
right? But it takes a certain level of maturity,
absolutely,
and humility, and trust, and all those things to say, like you said, like I don't have like this. This is your thing. This isn't my thing. Yeah. And I know that even if I don't understand it all, I know we'll be better on the other end.
Right.
Now, utopia is where both people start to undernd it, and now you're together and you're rolling, right?
That's extra.
But let's be a little more realistic, right? That's that. Yeah, exactly. So, but realistically, it takes one person, and vice versa, right? Like, there are women who are like, I will never let a man control me because it's 2023, and it's like, okay, calm down.
Hold on, who's a better fit?
Well, and let's separate.
Who's the better fit?
Let's separate. Management of things from control.
Because again, going back to the personality assessment, there are people with DNA that are better at balancing the checkbook, looking at statements, caring about interest rates, caring about due dates, making sure there's food on the table. Like there's people that are legit like, that's my jam.
That's what they do. Yep.
And then there's other people that are like, I love that you love that. As long as I can have my cable TV, or as long as I can hit the gym, as long as do what is going to work for you as a couple.
Absolutely.
But just because, and I'm going to tell a backstory.
Yep.
But just because the other person is always leading, like, don't just take a back seat and be like, they got it. I'm good. No.
That's the biggest mistake.
That's the biggest mistake.
Huge mistake. Absolutely.
Like, still be in tune. Yeah. Because while happily ever after, the facts are, if you don't know how money works in your household, and if anything happens and that breakup happens,
it's a wrap.
How are you going to survive on your own?
And that's why I say that's the difference between management and control.
Yes.
When people are like, they're not going to control me. No. So listen, if you, hope I'm not causing issues in people's houses, but if you go to work and turn over your check and you have no idea where it's going, you have no idea what's in the account, not by choice, because that's a different conversation, which we'll get to. But if you truly are like being withheld from that information, that's control.
Yes.
That's not healthy. That's not going to end well.
Right.
That is not the same as somebody saying, listen, we both know what happens when I balance a checkbook. You've got it.
Yeah.
Let's have a family meeting every Sunday or every 2 weeks to talk about, is money still where we want it to be? What are we going to do? Who gets what allowance, including the grown-ups? Let's check the stuff. Okay, we've agreed. You manage it. You administer the thing that we agreed upon.
Yep.
That's not control.
Yep.
That is management.
Absolutely.
The same way one person says, okay, kids are going to be at school at this time. They will be picked up at this time. They will go to this practice. They will have dinner at this time. Fine. Who's managing the execution of that? It's no different.
No different.
Right? It has to happen as long as both parties are involved and a decision's made. It's not like waking up and being like, those are your kids, figure it out. That's not the same conversation.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely
So anyway, I think it's very important for people to understand that if you're not a part of the conversation, and here's the thing, because I've seen this as well. there are people who will say, well, if you've got it, I don't need to know. Right? So, because a lot of people think the control is like somebody took over and was like, get out of the business. I've got it. Yeah. No. There are people who willingly bow out of participation.
Right.
Also not a good idea.
Definitely not.
Because for many reasons, but let's just pick one. Your spouse, the husband or the wife, is the manager of said money. Yeah. And you've said, I don't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. I get my allowance every week. I could care less what else happens. Yeah. They go out today and they get hit by a bus. And think about all those stories we heard of people's grandmas or whatever who were like, I don't even know where the bank is.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pay that. Right? You know what I'm talking about?
And unless they got a trust or a will that lays everything out,
then everybody's lost.
Everybody.
And so,
because there is no report you can pull of what bank accounts people got and where the money's at.
And unfortunately, God's not going to give you a minute and be like, hey, so listen, I'm taking him tomorrow. See if you can get a printout of all the accounts because it's going to be on you in 24 hours. That's not how life works.
Nope.
So even if you are confident, and history has proven that this person can manage well, you owe it to yourself and to your family to still be a part of the conversation. Absolutely. So that you at least have a minimal understanding of what is taking place. So God forbid, when you become the manager, think about every job. There's always somebody who's like, you know what? I quit today.
Yeah.
And the boss is like,
oh no,
who's filling in?
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, that's just how it works. Life is like that. And so yes, people have to be a part of that conversation. Absolutely. They have to, one way or another.
And it's so important. So, the backstory is, going back to does it have to be the man who does it or the woman who does it? It's really identify who's a better fit.
100%.
Like identify. And if, you might be pointing at the other person and they pointing back and nobody's the best fit. Well, then we need to get it together.
Somebody
hire a coach.
Yeah,
right here.
Yeah.
But, the backstory is, I spent, 17 years at a credit counseling company learning all of this stuff. And, so hubby was like, you got it. Like, this is your thing. You haven't failed us yet.
Exactly.
And I just always remember, throughout our marriage and our lives and, just building together, I always remember him saying like, I don't even care that you manage all the money. Like other people, like I hear my guys talking about why she controlling everything. And he's like, yo, she wear the pants. I wear the shorts.
I'd be like,
she can handle all the finances because look at what we have.
And that's what I was just about to say. I'd be like, where do you live versus where I live?
Look at what we have.
Yeah.
Like look at, look at everything, the house and then the next house and then the next house and then the vacations. And then at the end, he's like, I don't have no room to complain.
I'm good. Yep.
Y'all focus over there. We got it over here.
Yeah.
And I say that because, again, society, the internet, the outside influences to my couples and my households, unless they got their finances together, unless you know their banking accounts, unless you know their credit scores, unless you see some assets floating around, be careful who you listen to.
Yeah.
Be careful who you listen to.
And even if they do, like one of the best lessons I was ever taught, I wish I could remember who I heard it from, but the worst thing you can do, and people don't realize they do it, is say, man, I wish we went on the vacation like my friend Debbie went on. Yeah. Man, I wish you brought me flowers like he did. Man, I wish you would wear those skirts like she does. Like, sometimes people forget, if we put it back to the money, like we said at the beginning, what did you two agree on?
That's right.
What did you agree was right and appropriate for your house? Yep. Because if you agreed that right now a 2-bedroom condo that you still own is as big as you want to go, so you can save money for your kids to go to college, or buy this car, or take these vacations because that's what matters to you, fine. That's your choice. Absolutely. What you should not be doing is 2 years from now being like, Jessica down the street, they just bought a nice house.
Yep.
I wish we had that house. That wasn't our plan.
That's right.
So I'm not facts and feelings. I'm not about to have an emotional argument with you.
Yeah.
When we made a factual decision about what we were going to do and what we wanted together.
Yes.
Now you're letting the outside world tell you that our standards for each other aren't enough.
Right.
Be very careful.
Absolutely.
When you go down that road.
Absolutely. Or instead, have the conversation of, I know this was the plan. I know this was an agreement, but I have an idea. Or I have a thought.
I saw something. I'm wondering.
I saw something. Yeah. Like, let's discuss and let's see if it works. But don't just get in the feelings and be like, well, they got that. We should have it too. Yeah. Because that is just a whole bunch of ugliness.
And if you're the recipient of the, I have a thought, I have an idea. Yeah. Listen to it. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying agree with it. Yeah. I'm not saying go with it. But listen to it. Because you might be surprised. A lot of times we also get caught up in the like, nah, we made a plan. I got the money. Yeah. I don't want to hear any more of these ideas.
That's me.
You know what I mean? Like,
we got the plan. Yeah. Don't come over here.
I don't want to hear no more ideas.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I have so many stories.
But sometimes those ideas, if we take a minute, you're like, that's actually not that bad. Or going back to being that other person, I don't really understand what you want. Here's what I do know. It won't actually have that huge of an impact. And if it will make you happy at this level, I can adjust at this level to make it happen, right? But we have to be willing to listen. And the feelings person
is going to be like,
exactly,
oh, you adjusting. Exactly. Okay.
Right.
I like this
when all you really had to do, because now it's communication. I spoke, you heard.
Yes.
Right? Because really.
And then you agreed. Now we winning.
yeah, of course. That's the outcome. Yes. But you know what I mean? Like, you can't just be like, let them talk. Because people say things, and I don't think they realize what they're saying, right? So somebody will give you advice that says, if your spouse come in and has an idea, let them talk. No. Don't let them. First of all, they're an adult.
Yeah.
You can't let them talk. They're going to talk. So that's not a thing. What I would tell you is, number one, establish if this is a good time for you to listen. Mm-hmm. If it's not, inform them of it and set up a time.
Yes.
Don't just say not now.
Yeah. Yes.
Say, hey, can we do this Saturday when my work week is over, please?
Yeah.
Sure. Saturday, 12 o'clock, me and you at the table. Let's do this, right? So set up a time to do it. Yes. But then two, actually listen.
No distractions. You're not on your phone. You're not worrying about what time dinner starts. We're not worrying about,
If you're the communicator and your partner picks up their phone while you're talking, I give you permission to smash it with a hammer. It is the most annoying thing on the planet to me. I'm sorry. It always has been.
Again.
But it is.
Again, we want to set the tone for
effective communication.
Absolutely. Yeah. So definitely effective communication, but also being in agreement. I think that is so powerful in a relationship. So let's take it back. So me and my late husband got together. I was 17, he was 19. Mm-hmm. And, he came from a 2-parent household, parents married for years, like family dynamics, legit. This girl, opposite side. Right. So when we got together, I'm like, oh, cool, we boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm still going to run my way. And he's like, hold on. Wait a minute.
Right.
No, this is not how we operate because this is my environment. This is how I was raised. And if we a couple, we don't act like that. And I'm just like, wait a minute. But that right there was like, okay, you know what? I'm learning. Obviously, got together, blah, blah, blah. And early in our relationship, it was an agreement we had always set up. If we're going to spend money on a large ticketed item, we didn't even say like the dollar amount.
I was just about to ask you that.
We didn't say a dollar amount. We just knew if it was a large ticket, like Like, if we pick up the thing and we're thinking it's a large ticketed item, we better say...
When you look and you like...
Yeah, we better tell the other person, right? So a couple of our agreements early on was, if it's a large ticketed item, we need to talk about it first, number one. Number two, our family, which was just me and him and then Desmond at the time, our family comes first. Yep. Nobody else. Yep. No parents, no in-laws, no nothing. Our family first. Thirdly, we don't let anybody borrow money unless it is a life or death situation. And even so, we will talk about it. And those were just a few.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But being in agreement so early on in the relationship literally set the tone for the rest of our lives. Mm-hmm. Because that's how we've always operated. Now, granted, it just, it was never a discussion of, you're in the financial industry, you handle the finances. It's just what it was.
Yeah. Well, because that evolved. You didn't even know that's what
I didn't. I didn't. But I managed it and we were winning. So he's like, here you go. So even then, and again, every household is different. We never had a joint account. Never had a joint bank account.
No, I don't. Yeah.
There are, yes, and everybody is different.
Yep, absolutely.
Everybody is different. While other people be like, what? Yeah. You never had a joint account? Yeah. We did what worked for us.
Absolutely.
I had my account. He had his account. We had access to each other's accounts. He would get paid in his. I would take, X amount of dollars to use towards paying the bills. And he would be left with his spending money.
So y'all kind of did have a joint account. I mean, if both people have access to it, it's a joint account.
I mean, we have access to it.
The only difference is if both y'all had put the money in there, and it's the same. But all right, go ahead.
That was our system, and it worked. Right. Doesn't work for everybody. Right. Some people operate just like that. Right. But for me, even though, and I will always say, he allowed me to manage our household. Even though he allowed me, I did not want to be like, you give me the money in my bank account and I will release this much for you. I didn't want the allowance because I didn't want that stigma. I didn't want him to feel like this is all she gave me.
Yeah.
I was like, this is all I'm taking for our said bills.
You do what you want to do.
This is you. You do that.
Okay.
And that worked for us. Yeah. And it worked for us for 25 years. Yeah. Hence, granted my experience and knowledge and stuff like that, but hence it worked for us. And this is why, we have what we have and we've grown what we've grown and where we're at.
Yeah.
But it was that communication in the beginning, the agreement in the beginning. And when things changed, and, I talked about this on some old podcast episodes, when things started to change, it was, I have an idea. And I'm like, here's a perfect example. This was before we turned entrepreneur and we were in just employees.
Right.
We went to H&R Block. H&R Block. Why? Mom went to H&R Block. Why? Grandma went to H&R Block. We did our taxes with H&R Block. So both him and I, H&R Block. And then we found out a good friend of ours turned tax accountant, enrolled agent. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, did you know such and such is now a tax guy? Like, we should go to him. And I'm like, nope. Nope. Heck no, that's the IRS. We are not messing with the IRS. He's like, and then he had to set me straight. He's like, look, I don't ask for much. Mm-hmm. But if I'm asking, let's just try. And if it don't work, we go back to your idea. And I'm like, because you don't ask. Sure, I'll give you this one.
And think about, and I know this isn't why I know you weren't doing it for this reason, but think about as a partner or spouse to someone, think about how dismissive that is to not even give them the credit of being like, I'm going to assume you put at least a little bit of thought into this before you brought it to me, especially if it's not the type of person who's got a new idea every hour.
Right.
But if they haven't said anything for 5 years and then they're like, hey, this thing, and you're like, what are you talking about? It's like, yo, come on.
I know, right?
Give them some airtime at least.
Right? To the outside, it's like, really, Eva? Come on. You've been operating for years like this. You can't give them a bone.
Yeah.
So again, growth, right?
Yep.
Growth and really, like, he knew how to speak to me in a way that I'm like, okay, I heard you. Thank God I listened.
Because we all use that tax person now.
Everybody. Well, but here's why. You don't know what you don't know. Yep. We knew what our parents did and what our grandparents did. That's what that was the norm. And now we're like, okay, wait a minute. Our friend is doing this? Like, let's see what he got. Because H&R Block, you just a number. We don't know who that person is. Yeah. But we knew who our friend was. And from high school, like, he was always, like you say, a nerd, which I love nerds.
I did not call him a nerd.
You didn't call him a nerd, but you call yourself a nerd. And I'm like, nerds, that's who you need to hang with. But anyways.
But he is a nerd in, like, the good kind of way.
Numbers.
I love him for it.
Yes.
Yeah, I love him for it.
First year we go, asking all these questions about our financials. And I'm like, why are you asking so many questions? Like, just do the thing. Like, here's my paperwork, just get to work. And he was like, okay, wait a minute. Like,
that's how I felt the first time I used it.
Right? I'm like,
it's like, I don't notice your job.
I know. He's like, no, I need this. And I'm like, why? He's like, because even though you're working for an employer, you're telecommuting, you're working out of your house, which means you can write things off. And I'm like, wait, what? Yep. If I didn't listen to my husband, we legit would have owed the IRS $4,000. But because we went to our now tax guy for life, we made $20,000. I'm like, okay, all right, God, I hear you. Whenever he comes to me with an idea, let's go. And these are the moments that it's like, just because you've always done something doesn't necessarily mean that's how it always has to be.
And you, this is a whole social conversation, which we will never have on this podcast, but people need to remind themselves that just because you're right doesn't mean someone else is wrong.
That's right.
Multiple rights exist at the same time, right?
Absolutely.
And so I always tell people, when you go into these conversations, and I think this applies to your spouse or your partner as well. Yeah. If you approach a conversation, I said this on a panel I was on one time. If you approach a conversation with just enough space to accept that I could be wrong and they could be equally as right as me, it will change every conversation you ever have. Like, and I really mean that. Not just being like, let me hear what you got. No. Walk into that conversation saying, I might be wrong about something. You can be arrogant about it. Trust me, I have those moments. But you can be like, I might be wrong about something. But more importantly, they might be equally as right as I am. So if I have just that much space, the stuff you can learn and come to, because that's the other thing. You said be in agreement, and I think people need to understand, agreement is not showing up to a table with the same idea. That's not agreement.
No.
Agreement
oftentimes is like two complete opposite ideas.
Agreement is walking away from the table with the same expectation. That's agreement. None of us sit down at a table with somebody and be like, you thought the exact same thing? So did I. Like, that does not happen. Or it happens rarely. Agreement is when you get up from the table and you can look at each other and be like, same page? Same page.
We got this.
We got it. That's it.
High five.
You lost some, I lost some. You won some, I won some. None of that matters. Can we both wake up tomorrow and have a clear understanding of what expectations the other person has, because we are in agreement of what we both are trying to accomplish?
Absolutely.
And if you can do that with money, man. Right? Like, yo,
man, like you,
so crazy.
And you know, it's crazy because I heard a podcast the other day. It's like, you know, if you single and you're operating like this, like, okay, that's dope. But you have somebody else that operates the same way. You know, the vision, the values, the goals, the communication. Like, imagine that force double time.
And okay, I'm gonna say this. I know this is not a relationship podcast, but I'm gonna say this. And
this is couples and money.
I know, right?
Couples and money and communication.
Next week on Couples and Money.
Because all this matters.
No, and here's the thing, because you just brought this up. So I'm going to say it, and then I'll let you do the last thought and we'll get out of here. But if you are single, male or female, stop saying things like, and we've all done it, I'm this age, I'm never going to change. Because here's the problem. If you're not going, stop trying to change your situation if you're not going to change you. I'm single. I don't want to be single. Okay, so you want to change your situation. You just don't want to change you. Yeah. I'm broke. I want to have money. Okay, so you want to change your situation, but I'm tired of living here. I want to live there. I'm tired of working here. You want to change all of your situations, but you don't want to change you. Absolutely. And so if we go back to the couples and money thing, I'm telling you, I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are at money. I don't care how bad you are at money. If you enter into a functional relationship, a successfully functional relationship, you're going to change something.
I would hope you change something.
Because if you have to, or it's not going to be a successfully functional relationship.
You're going to go in, you're going to right back out.
But I mean, you have to go in knowing that.
Yes.
Go in knowing everything I've done has supported me to this point. Yeah. And a lot of what I've done will help me support an us. Yep. But it may not be enough. It may not be everything.
Right.
And even if it is, guess what? Still got somebody else who needs to agree with it. So
absolutely.
No matter how right you think you are, they still have to agree.
Absolutely.
So anyway, all right. Yeah. I will let you. That went way off the rails. I hope y'all got.
Man, there was nuggets, y'all.
I know,
y'all.
But
if you in a
people are looking at their phone like,
get the other person to listen on.
People looking at their phone like, what podcast did we put on? This is not.
No, yeah. And anybody who goes through my coaching knows, this is what you're going to get.
No,
this is what you're going to get.
Yep.
Yes, it's about money, but it's also about understanding yourself, understanding people, personal development, growth, shifting the mindset. You got to go through all of that if you want to get good with your money.
Absolutely.
For reals. Let's be real. If we want to get good with our money, it starts with ourself. It starts with our mindset. It starts with little changes that can lead to bigger changes that could lead into achieving your financial goals. Mm-hmm. So if you're not willing to change something about yourself or what you're currently doing, those goals, they just going to get further and further and further away from you. Yeah. So, yeah.
I love it.
That's dope.
Facts versus feelings.
Let's go.
You didn't see that one coming.
I did not see that one coming. But it's good, though. It's good because it's real. It's real. And, to all my couples that are out there, communicate effectively. Yeah. And for real, communicate. I got a crazy week right now. Saturday, breakfast. Let's go. Yes. For the couples that are like date night, guess what? Let's make it a money night. Let's make it a financial night. Let's make it a communication night. Let's make it, it's time to get past the past experiences, I grew up in this household. That's all I know. I'm
the last person I was with left me with nothing.
All of that. No, You want more. You want better. You want to get to levels that you hear other people getting. And this is what you want for yourself. Let's start working on ourselves. Let's make sure we're communicating effectively with our partner. And let's do it together.
Absolutely.
Let's do it together.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah. All right, let's let them go.
All right. See you in the next episode. Thanks, guys.
Take a look at what you see, what I become. It ain't hard to tell. Young legend, I'm an icon.